The Protestant Reformation began on October 31st, 1517, when Martin Luther posted his 95 Theses on the door of the church in Wittenberg. Luther was inspired to post these 95 Theses after he discovered that the Bible taught that justification came by faith alone. Luther wasn't the only person inspired by this teaching. In England, a man named William Tyndale sought to teach the men and women of England the same central truth that Luther discovered, that justification comes by faith alone. In 1523, Tyndale sought permission to translate the Bible into English. When he was denied permission, he famously said,
"I defy the Pope and all his laws. If God spares my life, I will see to it that a ploughboy shall know more of the Scriptures than you do."
Forced to flee England, Tyndale traveled the free cities of Europe that weren't under the control of the Anglican or Catholic Church, translating the Greek New Testament into English. Copies of Tyndale's New Testament began finding their way in England, and the authorities weren't happy about it. They began to buy up copies of the Tyndale Bible, which wound up actually funding Tyndale's work. Tyndale eventually settled in the free city of Antwerp, where he worked on revising his New Testament and began work on translating the Old Testament of the Bible. Tyndale also, during the 9 years that he lived there, committed himself to good works. At the end of Tyndale's time there, he was lured into the hands of soldiers by a guest, and he was taken in 1535 to the castle of Vilvoorde and accused of heresy. A year later, he was found guilty of heresy and taken to be executed. Tyndale was tied to a stake, choked by a chain, lit on fire, and finally blown up with gunpowder to make sure that no remains of him were left.
Lord, open the King of England's eyes.
Tyndale's translation was later finished by partners, and it laid the groundwork for future translations. It was one of the main sources that they used in translating the King James Bible, with a lot of translators saying that Tyndale got it right the first time. We can owe our abundance of English translations of the Bible to William Tyndale, as his work of translating the Greek New Testament into English was used for the King James Bible, and the King James Bible has been used for translating multiple other versions of the Bible. Tyndale's work is very important to the modern church because it allows people that weren't leaders in the church to read the Bible.